just wanna be okay. How can I pick up the pieces when everything breaks with every day? I'm getting older, I feel the weight upon my shoulders. I'm strong enough, I'll rise above. It's all gonna be okay. If I can be anything, I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. Nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. Everything's changing, just trying to navigate. Oh, I keep on believing I'm gonna find my way with every day. I'm getting older, I feel the weight upon my shoulders. I'm strong enough, I'll rise above. It's all gonna be okay. If I can be anything, I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me. Nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be me. I think I'm gonna be me, me, me. I know I gotta be me, me, me. There's nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me. I know I gotta be me, me, me. There's nowhere else I wanna go, no one else I'd rather be. I think I'm gonna be me.
What up, Wednesday, y'all? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome to July. Welcome to summer. Yay! Or welcome to winter if you're on the other end of the world, as Jolt of Cola Evil is. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad everybody else is here as well. Jam-packed show. This is the last day of the Pro League right now. And the Spain-Germany game, Spain-Germany under 21 game is wrapping up the fourth quarter right now. So feel free to peg the scores in. We prohibit sports ball scores, but hockey scores, please go ahead and lay them in here. I'm mildly interested, just not exceptionally. And then Belgium, USA women were due to start right now. They will be starting probably at around the top of the next hour is what I would expect, perhaps 1.5. So who knows? I might be able to see more of that game than I initially expected. So, hey, Magic Monkey's here. Good to see you again, friend. We are going to get through the following fine topics today. Dangerous shot on goal, indeedly doodly. Danger up close. Combining personal and team penalties. Shielding or breaking down tackle. We had one of those last week, but it's a totally different play. 5-meter infringements. I've got 3 of them for us to look at. And then an aerial danger on takeoff. Ooh, a little bit unusual. And as always, I mean, feel free to throw something out there in left field. This is going to be my last stream for a few weeks, so we might as well make it a good one. You know, let's have some fun. It's a party. It's all those things. Good to see Stain and Ian. Ian, you're here, not having to umpire tonight, I assume. And Yoop is here. And wait, Tom D, you might be new. Therefore, let me blow you an air horn, because that's what I do. Blow obnoxious virtual sounds in your general direction. Really glad. And yes, it has been wet in Antwerp. There was a rain delay. That's why the men's match is delayed and taking its time. So let's get into it, shall we? Here is our first topic: a dangerous shot on goal. And the poll question should be in the chat for you.
Van Dessel.
very
The ball
shortly.
inside. Bonal wanted that hit crossbar, and then Van Oble makes it count.
And
for
go ahead and make
5-2.
your way over to the Discord server in order to participate in the poll.
Thatcher saying that there's danger in the circle on the shot.
Taco, good to see you, friend.
Looking for danger in the circle.
Acrobatics,
And
but I thought
Andrew.
the Netherlands might use a referral here for danger.
Oh yeah, was it the body of block or the stick? Off the crossbar, back down, block news straight away. It was Tom Bone with the initial shot, but that, what does it hit on him? It's at him.
Ah, Tom, okay. You are one of our known friends. But
Looks
still,
like
I'm
body,
gonna
but
blow
there's
an air horn
no
anyway.
Flinch.
Why not?
It's 'cause
Let's
he's
do it.
tough.
Of course.
What a response from Van Oble to score it, I must say.
Oh, it was wonderful. Following up, being the first one.
His forearm, wasn't it? There.
Oh, how is he not
Ouch.
flinched?
That's going to sting a touch. Now,
What?
if it's hit him going towards goal,
I can't remember if this is Nikki or Alex on color with Dan,
is it
but
dangerous, they're asking?
oh, he didn't even flinch. I don't think he had much time.
He's in the
And that's one
line
of those
to
interesting
goal, though.
elements about danger that we have to consider is that we are looking
is
for a
an
legitimate
interesting one.
evasive action, but in the absence of legitimate evasive action, that doesn't mean that there isn't danger, especially when there is the possibility that that legitimate evasive action didn't have time to manifest and it just got hammered at somebody. So the questions before you are the following. We are not just looking at whether the shot is on at goal. And that is a good starting point because an intentionally raised hit, if it's not able to be considered a shot at goal, is illegal just regardless. So you take that first criterion into account, understanding that a shot at goal is defined as something that's directed close to the goal, but not necessarily hitting the target. Now, when it comes to danger elements, I think we apply a bit of a stricter definition of that because of what the purpose of this rule is to make sure that people are still safe. So something that is directed that way, but is really quite going wide. And I think we've seen this reflected in a lot of the video referrals over the past little while, that they really do pay attention to whether that shot is actually going in between those posts. And I know that seems contrary to what the definition requires, but there are other things that we apply the shot at goal definition to that we take a different view of because of the purpose of the underlying rule. Okay, and again, this is all about fairness and spirit, and when it comes to danger, it's kind of the central part of what we're doing. So make sure you get your votes in really quickly. I am moving through topics pretty quickly today, so I say that, and then I never know exactly what's going to happen. And one thing I did here, and I'm doing this today as an experiment, I think it's going to be a popular one, is I took out the results. So if it's a video referral, I've taken away the video referral reply. If you didn't see it live because you weren't watching with me in the Discord, in the watch party, and if you don't know how to find the Discord, I will pop the link into the chat right now so that you've got that available. There it is, fhempires.com/DS. When you're a member of the yellow group, the yellow team, we watch the matches together and we're able to assess and talk over these things. And you hear sometimes incorrect reactions coming out of my mouth, but I usually get around to the right conclusion eventually. No, Innocent, I really think this ball was on target. So that actually isn't the factor. It's going at goal. Okay. And again, it doesn't, So just let's move on to some of the other things that we look at, right? Because Innocent, that's not the only thing we're looking for. What are the other factors that we look for? Speed of the ball. Height of the ball. Trajectory of the ball, meaning is it on its way up? Is it on its way down? What kind of movement does it have? How far away is the defender? Now, a few people have mentioned, well, he's more than 5 meters away. Marginally, maybe. I'm not sure if he actually is 5 meters away or not, but the 5 meters away is a guideline. It's not a hard and fast rule, except when it comes to penalty corners first shot, because that part is written into the rule book. And it's quite an urban myth that people will apply that criterion as a hard and fast rule everywhere else, every other situation inside the circle, everywhere else on the pitch. That is going to lead you down the wrong garden path, because the first hit on a penalty corner is a set play situation where the ball is moved from a very particular place up to a very particular place, is being played in a very particular direction at players who come from a very particular thing. So we've already limited by operation of a penalty corner a whole bunch of the variables that we would normally have to take into account everywhere else on the pitch. I hope that makes sense, because it's really important to see why it's a lot more complicated than just, is it at goal and is the defender more than 5 meters away? Other factors we're going to look at are, what is the spacing and sort of the crowding around where the potential danger was occurring? Is a player, does the opposing player, do they have a good view of the situation? Do they have the ability to react because there's tons of room around them? What direction are they facing? Are they marking a player, or are they defending the goal? And that gets to an issue that a lot of people aren't super comfortable with sometimes, which they need to get comfortable with, is that danger isn't just caused by the person who plays the ball. It can be caused by other people. It can be caused by that person, that opposing player, because they make a decision to sacrifice their own safety in order to make a play on the ball. Okay, so I hope all those things are there. Did I miss anything? I have listed out as many of the criterion as I can, as many of the factors in the criterion that I can. Boy, if I mispluralize criterion and criteria, my dad is gonna he's gonna the back of his neck is gonna turn hot, and his arm hair is gonna stand up, and he's gonna call me, because he's 81, and he's gonna call me and he's gonna say, "What happened? I think you used the wrong word." And also, irregardless, I don't care if it's in the dictionary, it doesn't count. Okay? I just want you to know that's why I'm correcting myself. Let's see what we got here. Polo, for you, this is dangerous. Even if the initial shot is off target, the defender is there marking. The shot is coming quickly, so not much time to react. Okay? Good summary of a few of the factors that we're going to look at. Thanks. Magic Monkey, there's no way Boone could have scored as the penalty corner is blocked by the keeper and the rest is 4 players, and Bone didn't even look quite dangerous though. Okay, I'm not sure, because we're not in the penalty corner situation anymore. The ball is moved out, so that's not really a factor to sort of look at. And also, Bone's stick swing looks to cause legitimate evasive action. Okay, so there's one of the things I actually didn't roll through, even though I talked about in the preamble. The legitimate evasive action is there. Is the player actively trying to make a play on the ball, even though it's maybe at height, maybe if it's even at speed? That player is like, oh no, I can pluck this out of the air, as opposed to a player who is simply either needing to get out of the way, or is or doesn't even have time to get out of the way. Okay. Your last comment reads badly. Okay. It should be regardless if the shot. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Regardless of whether the shot is on target or not. Okay, yeah, I like that better too. That's a good one. As an aside, Joel DeColieville, was this the first? If this was the first hit at PC, would it trigger the raised rule or not? Considering this is a bumped ball. Okay, let me see if I can piece this together. What you mean by a bumped ball? I'm gonna actually watch it on the screen so I can see exactly. Okay, so maybe what you're asking me is whether this would be considered the first shot at goal or the second shot at goal. And it would be the second shot at goal. So the actual shot that scores, but that the first hit from the top of the circle, that would be the first shot at goal. That would be too high, according to. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm trying to piece it together because this isn't a penalty corner situation. So I didn't mean to lead you down the garden path and distract y'all from the focus here. This isn't a corner, okay? Because the corner's over. Ball's gone more than 5 meters outside the circle. But that hit there would have been, even though it gets saved, touched, that is intended to go to the target. And that's the flip side of the shot at goal definition, is that we take a more permissive or expansive view as this being a shot at goal, even if it doesn't get there. If it's intended to go there, if it's directed that way, if there is time for the defenders to assemble themselves in a different pattern in order to keep themselves safe, according to how the set piece of a penalty corner flows, then it's over. Okay? I hope I led through that sufficiently after I figured everything out. Taco, the Dutch defender was not covering an attacker but defending the goal. However, the shot was aimed at the body above the knee. He still could reflex it in, though. You would go for play on at this level. I'm gonna take I'm gonna give you the flip side to a couple of those things, because first of all, I think that it's pretty clear that he is marking a player. He is not simply covering the goal. I don't know why that's coming through so orange, but let's have a look. Okay. This for me is marking. If this player was more like over here or over here, even then he might be marking this player. But let's say if he's ducked more into this spacing and ends up clocking here, that's more defending the goal. This is not defending the goal, Taco. Okay, so I would refute that. The shot was aimed at the body above the knee. So you're looking at the height of the ball. That's one factor to take into account. But that, if you feel that the player is blocking the goal and takes the ball above the knee, then that should be a penalty stroke. Or a penalty corner in this case, because it wasn't a probable goal. Okay, so your logic is not, you need to follow along the line of how we would make this determination. Okay, and he could still act in reflex, though. I'm not sure what that is. You would still go for play on. Okay, I hope that helps a little bit in sorting through that. If the hit shot at goal scores, but the momentum of the swing of the stick means the defender gets hit with a non-negligible force with the follow through of the stick, would you disallow for danger? I don't know what you are referring to. Are you talking about these two players here? Is that what you're talking about? Swing of the stick, defender gets hit with a with force. Can we not use double negatives? I am limited in cognitive capacity when I'm at the decks. Okay, so like, let's make this easy for me. So if that's what you mean there, okay, that defender is coming in from a side, which puts him in a potentially vulnerable position, but he's done the right thing by getting really close to the shooter. But that's his responsibility, because this player is on. They don't have to not shoot just because there's somebody who's trying to put their stick in the way and block the shot. So there's that. Okay. You meant the first post. Yeah, that's a goal. Yep, that's a shot at goal. Remember the definition being, it doesn't have to actually hit the target, but hitting the post is really, really close to the target. It's as close as you can get to the target without actually going inside the big white box. Okay, good to know. Thanks, Polo. For you, Steven, it's dangerous not playing at the ball and they're marking an attacker. Okay, so language just be like, is he defending the goal? Is he putting himself in a position that he would be happy to use his body to stop the ball from going in the goal because he's covering extra space for a goalkeeper who is not occupying that space or able to make that save? Okay, and it's too quick to do anything other than flinch. So the speed of the ball coming at him, that is definitely a factor. Is it worth considering the defender is right next to attacker so the ball hit into a crowd? Yes, that is another factor. Thank you, Andrew. That there is, there's not a lot of space in which that defender can operate, and the pressure of having that projectile coming at you at that pace with that many people around in that proximity. Yes, so you have taken that into account. Good job. Good factor. You thought it was a bumped ball. I don't know what a bump ball means. Explain. What's a bumped ball? If the ball crosses the line above the backboard, and if that's the first shot during a PC, you cannot score. You don't think it matters as bumped into the ground. Oh, a squeeze shot kind of bumped. Yeah, that doesn't matter. That doesn't change anything. The danger doesn't change because of that. Okay, thank you, Yoop. That helps. I was like, what the hell is a bumped ball? This is why I get so keyed on language, right? From another perspective, is that, jolt, that's a term that clearly you're very comfortable in using, and it means something in your region, in your country, whatever. But I have no idea what that means. And there's probably lots of other people in the chat that don't know. So we can be careful about the language that we choose in order to, be more inclusive and just be more clear so that everybody knows. Ali, good to see you, friend. Belgian player showed significant control tipping that ball. Belgian player didn't tip it. It actually just flat out hit the Dutch player in the arm. So, and that would be another thing, is like, let's say that the Belgian player next to the Dutch defender who does get hit, that's the tip into him. Well, as we'll, see in the next clip, I wouldn't expect that to be considered safe whatsoever. And for you, not dangerous. Interesting. Your side was disregarding the danger element, just asking a bump gauge. Okay. Yeah. Doesn't change it. Absolutely. Okay. Good stuff, gang. I enjoy how you all threw out, like, does this matter? Does this matter? Does this matter? Absolutely, right? Danger is not a one factor call. It's not a two factor call. It's a many factor call. Unless there's a specific rule in the rule book that tells you that this is the thing that you look for. Okay. So now that we know that, let's find out what happened on the pitch.
This is going to be an interesting one.
Sarah, I have advice for you. The initial shot was dangerous on the Dutch defender, so you can restart with a free hit out, and the Dutch will keep the referral.
Super popular decision with the Dutch, with the Belgian crowd.
The ball inside.
Okay, let's have a look what you all thought on this. And I'm going to obviously have to refresh this data in order to see. Okay, so 83% of you felt it was dangerous, and 17% of you felt it wasn't dangerous. So good work. My personal vote would have been on the side of danger. And those are difficult to call because it literally is the difference between a goal being scored or not. It's the biggest call. But I think that Ali did a good job in the booth of taking into account all the different things. And particularly for me, I think it's important to point out where the defender was vis-a-vis another attacker that they were legitimately playing defense on. And sorry, that's a very North American way of saying that they were legitimately marking. So I think that's something to take into account there. And Shane's here. Okay. Fantastic. Let's run through a couple announcements before we move on to the next topic, if we can. My Stream Deck is not necessarily responding. Y'all know we've been following the escapades of our friend Hamish, who is doing hockey wrong by playing. But okay, we're going to accept this. He is playing at the under 18 Euros. And so his debut match, if all goes well, he'll be playing, he reports, in the second and fourth quarters. So those are the only quarters I'm going to watch. Just kidding. Of the Belgium-Scotland. It's the very first match of the tournament. So all you have to do is go to eurohockeytv.org and you can pay a paltry sum for those of us in this area of the world. And we have access to the entire tournament streaming. And I think it's really important for us as hockey people and hockey fans to support our hockey product with our hockey dollars and watch them on our hockey TVs. We spend lots of money watching the sports ball and then the other sports ball and then paying for jerseys for sports balls. And look, this is the sport we love. So let's start putting our money where our heart is instead of with other organizations who really don't need our help. Okay. Oh my goodness, everybody. Rob Scott is here. You finally made it. Hi. And Raj is here too. I'm glad you're here. So at under 18, they don't play as GB. Interesting. It's Stefan, the formula by which they play as GB or as their home nations has almost everything to do with Olympic qualification or not. So if the competition that the home nations would normally be competing in is a qualifier for the Olympics, then they will compete as GB. So that's why you see, even in the Pro League, or, oh gosh, I'm going to get this wrong. But there's certain times where the tournaments are qualifiers for the World Cup, which is home nations, or they're qualifiers for Olympics, which is always GB. So they're in a Olympic cycle right now when the Pro League is going to be a qualifier for the Olympics next year. So in order to not get relegated, and often, like, there's sometimes little derivations. Now, all that said, under 18s don't have any of those considerations. And Euros, they are competing as nations. Usually. Okay. But it has less to do with... Okay, look, I'm just going to stop talking about it. I don't want to. The Ben Dudley Bowl was this weekend. And if you haven't had an opportunity to go put your money behind this cause, Blood Cancer UK, Hodgkin's lymphoma that took the life of this very outstanding member of the Bristol hockey community, then please go give that a look. I know that the campaign is still there, and there's a link in the description below that you can have a look. And Mike McCartney, our Yellow Team fellow teammate, was out there supporting by helping facilitate the games as an umpire. So thank you very much for that contribution. And so have a look at that. And also, speaking of Mike, because he's bloody everywhere, he didn't have time to tell me how the Ben Dudley Bowl went because he went off to umpire at the European Masters in Nottingham, I believe. So he's somewhere in that picture of rainbow goodness. Oh my gosh, I love those shirts. I believe they originally, or they've been popularized by the Japanese national umpires that I've seen on all the Facebooks. And I love these shirts to death. And Lucy Barlow is like dead center in the middle with her beautiful blue hair. So congratulations to everybody who's participating in that. There's lots of FH Umpires community members in that group doing their thing and probably having an incredible time from all reports. So there you are. Congratulations to everybody doing all those things. Okay, next topic. Danger up close. We're staying on the same theme of the dangers.
Cleverly. Sunfest, good hands on the V-drag, ball in towards Rogers, who pops it up onto Hooster and wins the penalty corner.
In real time, this did look high.
No,
Yes. Again, I'm not going
it's
to...
up to me now.
Okay, I'll have a look for danger
no,
and
no,
the whole situation.
I think the crucial thing, Maddie, is conversation and
I like that a lot.
debate about umpiring is a good thing,
Blue,
as long as
blue
it's done
card,
the right way. And there,
purple card.
they've suggested this was high, this was dangerous. It's popped up there. Then there's a touch. That is potentially what makes it dangerous, surely.
And that's what, like I say, in real time, it looked and felt dangerous on that touch there, because that is well above the knee. I mean, for me, this is a Germany ball and not a penalty corner.
In terms of how this is called 9 times out of 10, you would assume that's going Germany's way.
Okay. Haha. You don't get the result, do you? So we've run through the criterion. We know of all the things that we can talk about. We can talk about where the defender was. Were they defending the goal? Were they defending a player? How close were they to where the ball took off? What was the trajectory of that ball? What was the speed of that ball? What was the, oh, I forgot this one. What was the skill level of the players and their ability to skillfully play this ball, or do they need to legitimately evade it in order not to be damaged? Okay, so you've got those factors. The crowd, what's the best way to, I need a phrase for that. Like, does it go into a crowded area? But is it a crowded area, crowdable area, crowded area? Crowded area doesn't seem to really. Okay, it's too simple. So does it go into a crowded area? Does the defender have eyes on the ball? Okay, all those sort of things. Let's see what you all think so. And if there are 2 yellow strips, you point at both for a 10. Just use cards. And from what I understand from Mike McCartney, he's finally tired of me nailing him to the wall for not carding early enough. And he's doing a much better job with all those things. So there you go. Tough love is the answer every time, friends. Tough love. Okay. So get your votes in quickly because I do want to move on. We're already at 12:35. So there you go. Okay. So Tugsy, thank you. You're pointing out that it's into a congested area. Yes. And look at how close the defender is to where the ball is raised at her. Okay. How much opportunity does a player at any skill level, but particularly even at this skill level, what kind of opportunity does she have to skillfully play at this ball? It's going slowly. It's not like it's hit at her from that distance, which would have been a very easy call to make. But what opportunity does she have after the ball has been lifted up in the air? Nice 3D skills, but then it's lifted and then played into her from a very short distance. I think it's also worthwhile. We're seeing lots of replays, and just sort of as an aside, not a criticism, but a point of order, a point of awareness for us is the positioning of an umpire trying to make this decision. And the classic, they're behind the body of the defender which is having the ball played at. They're behind the body of the defender and can't see the ball necessarily. You can see him right in line and he's starting to move around, but that would have been a really tough call to see in the moment. And you're never going to get perfectly right. And I'm not saying that he needed to be somewhere else. He could have been somewhere else. But if Mikhail is not at a good angle to see where that ball has gone, that's why you have 2 people. And at this level, this is why you have video referral and video review. But for us, this is why we have a supporting umpire. They can be very assistive on these kinds of decisions. And this is one of the reasons why under mission control positioning, I advocate for the supporting umpire not to be hanging out on the side line but much more central so they can assist precisely on calls like this. And that's important for us. Okay? Too much decking, which I'm not going to say with a New Zealand accent, right? It's not just raids, it's then played into them, which cannot have offensive advantage. Okay. Just a question. Why does the umpire reject the player coming towards him? Okay. Oh, sure. Yeah, let's go through this. So what happens here is that Michiel has already passed the referral up to the video umpire. And the regulations are clear at this point that it is not for the players to come and try to argue or pressure or interfere with the video referral process. Because imagine if, because especially with the comms being open as they are on this particular stadium setup and this particular production, they come up and they start saying, well, I can see, this is what we saw, and they start trying to influence what the video umpire is seeing. That isn't acceptable. But the video umpire still needs to keep the channel open so that they can hear if there's any actual legitimate further instruction, clarification, or changes that are coming from the pitch umpires. So they are not allowed to approach and speak and try to clarify. It's already gone up. It's gone up. Oh, did I write that? Oh my gosh. I don't know what I've done wrong. I probably said control. I think I've been seeing too many science fiction movies recently. It sounds worse with an Aussie accent. I don't know. The YouTubes tell me that with a New Zealand accent, it's the worst. Tugsy. Oh my gosh, I should not have put that up. Low speed, Steven. Low speed plus defender actively plays with the ball rather than flinching or taking legitimate evasive action. It's one way of looking at. Perhaps another way is the lack of distance and height. Yeah. So it's not a super, super clear-cut situation, but let's see what
Sarah Wilson
Sarah
I have advice for you.
says about this.
The ball has come up dangerously from the USA player into the German player, so you can restart with a free hit out, and Germany will keep the referral.
Line it goes cleverly. Sunfest, good hands on the V-drag.
You'd think it's my own damn course and I'd be able to say the words correctly. Good to know. So where are we at? 12 voters. Come on, there's more of you out there. Get in the server. All you have to do is accept the rules. You don't have to claim a role. I've kept the channel extremely open. Just get in the Discord and go vote. It's just so much easier for me to do it this way because I can see right away that 92% of you, so that must be 11 of you, believe that this is dangerous and one of you doesn't believe it's dangerous. And that's okay. That's good stuff. I agree. I believe it's dangerous. The proximity is one of the biggest weighted factors for me in watching that play. And yes, she's trying to make a stab at it, but she's so close to it. I don't think she has much time or space to get out of the way or, move. She's just kind of like, and I mean, you could try to protect yourself with your stick as much as, doing many, many other things. So my mission critical positioning. Can I just remind myself of how critical I am, and therefore I will say mission critical positioning? Thank you. All right, before we move on to the next, I hope that wraps that up for you. Let me know if you have any other questions on that particular play. I just want to remind you of a few things. I mean, obviously I can remind you of this thing, which I believe I have I've got everything critical in here. Everything is there. This is the course where you can find all of the things for mission critical positioning. I'm thinking of ideas of how I can incorporate more examples and illustrations and things like that. But anyway, the course is now also in the Discord. So I would love for people who have either taken the course on the website already and they're like, I need a refresher. I'd love for you to go into the Discord, claim your role if you don't already have it, and go look at how it plays for you in the server and give me some feedback because I want to move all my courses in there. And if y'all hate it, then I'm not going to do it. But the feedback's been really solid already, but I'd rather have all of the feedback there. And yeah, but see, that doesn't help me remember not to say things wrong. So anyway, all good. As I alluded to earlier, I am going on holidays and I'm excited because spur of the moment, in an absolutely uncharacteristic bout of spontaneity, I decided I'm going to fly down to Santa Barbara and go see my really, really good friend, Lindsay Cooney, who is a fabulous goalkeeper and goaltender in ice hockey as well. And I'm going to go hang out with her in Santa Barbara and I'm going to go ocean kayaking for every day of the 7 days I'm there, I'm sure. Okay, maybe I won't be able to make it out on the Tuesday. But anyway, I'm going to go to there for a week and just shut her down and then drink margaritas every night. She has a lime tree in her backyard. So I am very excited about that. And thank you, Polo, for that endorsement of the course. I really like it too. Oh my God, stop saying nice things to me. I'm not accustomed to it as an umpire. You cannot praise its positive impact on your game enough. It's 5 coffees, people. What does that mean? What does that mean? Okay. So in addition to this holiday stint that is happening the week after that occurs, I'm doing this thing. And I'm going to be hanging out with that very handsome gentleman, as you can see there. Jamal Burgess and I are going to be teaming up to umpire manage the Under 18 National Championships. And that goes from the Tuesday, July 25th to this Sunday. So I'm going to do my best to try to gather content and check in. I have the sneaking suspicion that the best way for me to make this accessible, spontaneous, and not leave a legacy on YouTube that I'm not impressed with is to come into the voice channels in the Discord server and hang out with y'all and just sort of give you updates that way. That's what I think is probably going to happen. But I do want to try to include you in the process and see what I can pass along as to things that I'm learning and experiencing and how we're doing as an umpiring team at this tournament. They're such fantastic learning opportunities. They're also just really, really busy. So just being realistic. So there will not be a What Up Wednesday on July 26th because timing, all that stuff. There you go. Jamie. Oh, the cost is the equivalent of 5 coffees. Oh my God, I need to charge more money for that. Oof, dummy. I'm bad at business. How much does your coffee cost? How much does my coffee cost? Would that be, yeah. I mean, like a Starbucks coffee or like a super fancy coffee. I don't drink coffee. I drink mate. So I don't really know. Taco, you're just going back to this sort of thing. So I'll just clear that off the screen. I don't want you to be distracted. Oh, wait. That wasn't the comment I was trying to bring up. Let me bring this. So with the height and speed, there would be like 2 meters between player defender. The player does not step aside. Would you not call it dangerous if the ball... Okay. I don't know if you're talking about the first one and the second one. If you're talking about the second one, they were not 2 meters away from each other. They were well within 1 meter of each other. So this is why we need to talk about the facts of these situations and make sure that we're on the same page, because if we don't agree on the facts, we're not going to be able to analyze situations very well. Just saying. And a defender doesn't step aside, we do not call it dangerous. The ball hits above the knee. We have a lot of knots. Yeah, I'm not sorry. I'm having trouble parsing how the sentence all plays out. Hopefully it was clear enough there that that was dangerous because of how close she was. Like just to put it as simply as I possibly can, that's where it is. And and I called it mission control positioning. So Yaku, like this is not on you, man. This is not on you. I will really learn about coffee. You're coffee snobs. Well, everybody's coffee snobs. So I'm just not a coffee drinker. That's all. Okay, let's get into the third one because I do have I have two examples. This is a non-poll segment. I'm sorry, Polo. This is a non-polling segment of the show. We're combining personal and team penalties.
In the third
This
quarter,
is beautiful.
it's a third
Please
quarter
listen
where
up.
Spain have been incredibly good value for a team 4 goals down. Benastra at the heartbeat of everything good that they do, and Anna now is going to, I think, pick up a green card.
It's a second corner outside it's a
Second corner given outside the circle.
That's why it's a card.
That first one from Boca, the stick tackle, was number 1. Anana then the second. and he pays the
Onana
price.
is not getting the card.
How great from the umpire there to just make that really clear. Because I thought, oh, I can see it's a corner, but
He's
it can't
inside
seem
the circle.
harsh. But
It's
actually,
that tackle.
2 offences exactly the same outside the circle. He's explained it beautifully. You can't argue with that.
And as you can see, it is
It's-
not Onana sitting on the bench. It was the teammate who commits this breakdown foul. 16? Getting fouled. So if you didn't hear the words that came out of Martin Madden's mouth, the M's in that situation, is he said, this is the second time I've blown a PC for a breakdown tackle outside the circle. Okay, I gave him lots more words. But this is the second time I've blown a tackle outside the circle. And that's why he's pulling into his pocket. So one of the big questions I get asked on a regular basis, and we've had some really nice talks over this in the watch parties in the server, and Joran, I think you're here, maybe you're not, but Joran and I especially have been talking about it because it's one of those things as you're coming through that it can feel very intangible, and I don't know how to apply some kind of rules. Well, guess what, everybody? I've got rules for you. I've got a little bit of an acronym that you can go by that I just sort of came up with in the last few days because I realized I was saying the same things over and over again. There are 3 things you're going to look for as to whether you want to combine a card with a team penalty. The more severe team penalty that can be awarded, colloquial known as an upgrade penalty. Doesn't exist in the rule book, but hopefully that is pretty clear. But here's the first part of the RDI, which is repetition. And that's exactly what you hear Martin talking about in that explanation to the players who are outraged that their teammate has taken a green card for that breakdown tackle outside the circle. That's the second time I've had to award a penalty corner for that kind of breakdown tackle. The first time that I gave you a corner against clearly didn't get the message across. It's repeated. And that would go for penalty strokes. For example, a goalkeeper who comes to commit a sliding challenge, for example, and takes a player out, especially because you have that very big remedy of the penalty stroke as the team penalty, you may not be giving a card on the first instance. But boy, you see it again in the same game, you're going to be giving a card. Okay, so that's one of the factors that you look at as to whether you're going to combine. The next one is danger. So the danger inherent in the foul that requires a stronger message. So obviously, when you get into something like, let's say it's a sliding tackle outside the circle, that's a very obvious, like you don't care that you have the penalty corner available to you because it's dangerous, and there's a briefing that helps you out with that. You're going to be giving and pairing the personal penalty with that foul. Okay, I don't have an example of one of those right here, but I think we've seen them on the streams, you know, very, very frequently in the last forever that I've been doing them. Okay, but here's an example of the next or the final category here.
Pretty much Spain's top squad. It's not, you know, there are players come in, players go out in the Pro League. That's absolutely normal. But all these players play normally. Lacaille now, penalty corner. That could have been more. There's going to be a card. Paul Glander, yellow. Got
So note the following things. Time of the game. Q4, 3 minutes left. Score, 1-1. And in this match, this is the chart from TMS. And you can see there's goal, goal, and goal. That's what the circles, the blue circles mean. The stars are, I believe, when players went into the stoppages. No, I can't remember what the stars are for. But the little I'm pointing at the screen, dork. The little yellow square indicates that that yellow card is the only card that was given in the game. And if you're looking at repetition as the only thing, or maybe even danger, because it's not actually that, you know, yeah, the player does go for a tumble, but it isn't the most dangerous foul ever. So why is Michael giving a 5-minute yellow card for this play? And it's because of this. It's because of impact. The breakdown stops a dangerous attack from developing inside the circle in a tie game late. It is desperation to try to break and stop some good hockey from happening. So flat out, absolutely yellow card, straight. That is the right thing. So he's able to pair from the tackle that in Michael's estimation happens outside the circle. It continues in, but he's calling the first one. And that's one of the things. He has such good whistle timing on a lot of his stuff that he actually calls something that continues. And everybody thinks he's calling the continuation, but actually he's making a determination based on the first thing that happened. And he's calling the foul that happened outside. Okay, the stars are PCs. Thank you. Very smart. David, this is your only hockey of the week, which delights me to no end. Thank you for coming. You can't even distinguish a green triangle and a red circle. Now I'm giving you an acronym. I have faith in you, Yoop. You can do this. And Tugsy, no, the wrong player didn't go off. That's all. This is the thing about TV, okay? Streaming. The directorial decisions and where the camera's pointed and where they tell the cameraman, oh, concentrate on Onana. He's the last guy to touch the ball. No, he wasn't the guy who committed the foul. So it looks like Onana is going off. He's not. He was actually going up to go to the center line because he's not part of the penalty corner defense. No, it was the player who committed the foul. And okay, I don't have it on there, but yeah, the wrong player didn't go off. The graphic goes up to say it's Onana, also incorrect. I knew it wasn't Onana the whole time. Apparently they need an umpire in the comms box and they need an umpire in the directorial box because they don't know what's happening in the game sometimes. Stain, you're referring to the first one. You were watching the match at the stadium, sitting next to an international umpire, said nobody can explain and sell decisions like Mr. Madden. Absolutely fair. He is very, very good at that. He has an incredible way of just, it's not necessarily the most sophisticated, but he doesn't waste words. And that has a beautiful efficiency all of its own. And Tom agrees. It's corners. There you go. RDI. That's the only way you're going to remember it. Okay. I thought about making it RRR, like the 3 R's. A repetition, recklessness, and result. But I didn't like the result part. And everybody knows that impact is a big part of this. It's in the briefing, and I don't want to introduce words that don't really, because I'm all about the words, right? All about the words. Hang, haven't seen you for a while. The defender had a hand on the back of the attacker. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, there was no problem in calling that an intentional, reckless as to the result. That was a breakdown of play. Easy. Easy call. Okay. So that's what we're looking at: repetition, danger, and impact. You may have a combination of these factors. You may have one in isolation. But if you don't have these things, you don't have to combine that personal penalty with the team penalty. I've had people say, "Oh, I've called a penalty corner for something that happened outside the circle, so I have to give a card, right?" I'm like, "Why? You don't have to. Maybe you need to, but you don't have to." Same thing with the penalty stroke, same thing. "Oh, I called a penalty stroke for a breakdown tackle inside the circle, so it should be a card, right?" Why? This is why. This is why. Okay? Look for these things. Yes, Mr. Madden is a police officer, and that may explain something. I will tag, and if anybody who's in the chat right now can find the Umpired Home episode where I interviewed Martin at length about his approach, how his background impacts the way that he approaches the game, and all that sort of thing. It's a really good watch. He's a very interesting individual, and my diametric opposite in so many ways, because he doesn't do this. He doesn't do this overthinking of everything the way that I do. And I love that. I love that about him. He's a fantastic umpire without having to do that. He's just, his gut instinct has been built from gathering data over years, like just decades of being at the pitch and absorbing everything that's happening. And he's just got this high level view of it that he gets it. Yeah, and I mean, I don't think in this case, when you're looking at the body language of the German defender, actually, I think it's a bit more of a, oh, he's getting applied the standard. This is senior hockey, friends. Michael is no fool. He knows exactly what's happening. That's probably not been something that he's been consistently exposed to throughout his career up until this point in time. Welcome to the Pro League. Pro League umpiring. No, that's not his name. His name's Martin Madden. Okay. Let's go on to topic 4. We're whizzing through. It's been an hour. I might be on schedule. I'm not on schedule. We're going to look at the shield to breakdown tackle. This is going to be a little bit of a
target a bit earlier, maybe.
This is going to be a complicated one.
Now the pressure's on.
Let me know what you think.
Galini, who's already been on the score sheet, wins the penalty corner. Well, Tara Horn, they have the review.
Team referral by Germany. Kirby?
Yes, I can hear
I
you.
guess penalty corner for stick tackle. They're claiming was stick shielding. Can you please check?
So I'm looking for a tackle or a shield.
Again, in real time, this did feel like stick shielding. You can see it there. Wouldn't surprise me if this gets overturned.
It's a fine line, isn't it, between having your stick there.
But there, you see it. She just, yeah, she brings a stick off the ball, and for me, this is a pretty obvious decision. Such a shame, because the hard work they've done to turn over the ball in that space there, and they were in. Yeah, for me, that's stick shielding every day of the week. You can also see on her face, she's a little shocked at the penalty corner decision there.
Hugsy, you may have tried to put up the
The
link,
difference in the two faces actually is
and maybe it was rejected
It's just
because
that
you're not
it is
moderator.
a slight change of angle, isn't it, from Galini? There, she's trying to protect
Don't
the
worry,
ball.
I'll pop it in the
As you
description
say,
so
she
you can
wasn't
come back
expected
and
to
you
be
can
a
find
penalty.
it.
She's trying to shield.
Slip it in the Discord server as well. Or you can slip it in the Discord server. Did you know we have a Discord server? You should go check out the Discord server. Okay, so cut off the result given by the video umpire. What do y'all think of this? Which I think is a very difficult decision for a number of reasons. Okay. One of the challenges that we have here is the camera angles that we get are not at all close to what Mikhail gets on the pitch. And for me, it's important to look at where the tackle, the attempted tackle is coming from the defender on this. Because I don't believe there's an obligation for the ball carrier to move their stick in such a way that if they are progressing forwards, that they can only have their stick behind the ball and stick. Does that look at all like a stick behind the ball? Okay. And it would be completely legitimate for a player to have their stick on the side of the ball this way or this way because they're going to Indian dribble and do things like that. What we don't think is an appropriate way to hold your stick as a ball carrier is if a defender's in front of you, perfectly legitimate place to try to make a tackle from, and then you put your stick over top of the ball and say, no, you're not going to touch it from there. I'm going to put my stick over top of it. And especially if there's space between that, where you literally hold the defender's stick away from the ball momentarily or in a sustained attempt. But this notion that the player can't have their stick on the side of the ball like that as they continue dribbling, I think that's one open for discussion. So Lorene Delforge is an excellent young umpire. Yeah. She's already gone a long way. She's literally done the Olympic final at the age of 25 and done the World Cup final. She's gone a long way. Yep. More shielding with the body of the stick, okay? That's another thing to look at in this situation, Ian, is where does the ball carrier have the ball and where they move in their body at that point. What I think is important, and I alluded to it earlier, there's a reason I said that earlier when I talked about Mikhail's whistle timing, is he called this very quickly. And what happened at the tail end, the last second of this little passage of play, was not when he made the decision to call the foul. It was before the player had turned and really put her body in that direction. That is very important to distinguish. And that's why whistle timing is so important. For you, the attacker had her stick on the ball, says Ali, on the right side of the ball for long enough. Had it been the last minute to prevent the tackle, then perhaps shielding. Yeah, I'm not sure if the length of time it's there is a damning factor or promoting factor. It's hard to know. It's kind of a little bit weird. Okay. But I very much look at where was the attacker in relation to, or sorry, where was the defender in relation to the attacker's progress to their target? And what I see from this as I go to my replay is here, the defender is marginally behind. And there can't be an onus on a ball carrier to be like, oh, here, allow me to present you with the ball. Right? That would be insane. That would be not, that would be just weird AF. And where the attacker reaches, or sorry, where the defender reaches, God, I'm struggling with knowing who's doing what here. Let's see if I can get more to this replay. And I might even slow it down a little bit more. Okay. So this looks okay to me right now. That's fine. Everything is fine. And then I think what Michaela is calling in this moment is, after that progresses just enough, this is okay. And then we start to see a lean by the defender. Because the attacker is in front and they're entitled to try to cut off and entitled to try to go in this direction. They don't have to say, oh, let me slow down so that you can get in front of me. And this is the moment at which Mikhail is making his determination that this is a breakdown foul. That's what I think is happening. But I'm happy to hear whether you think I am misconstruing all of this. Okay. And that's the, and that's the thing. In that case, it's already either a free hit defense or a PC. Yeah. The attacker was going left to right while dribbling. And then just before the interference, she's guiding the ball. It feels like shielding. So what does that mean? What does guiding the ball mean? Is it not a legitimate way to play to guide the ball? Why? What does guiding mean to you? Okay, now you think you see it. I wonder what you're seeing. Jurgen de Bruin. Hi. This is one of the most difficult rules to enforce. It's subjective. Welcome to hockey. Everything is subjective, except maybe sideline balls and end line and that sort of thing. It when you get to this sort of 50-50 situation, or just like 50.5% to 49.5, this is, like I said, a very difficult decision. And it's from this, and like I said, when I led up to this, the angle that we have, when you see that, let's see if I can cue it up. When you see this angle on the play, okay, you get a different perception of the contact that's between the two players as they're rolling. And I suspect right here at this moment, that's where the lean comes. And from Mikhail's angle, which is, across this way, he's got a fantastic view. They're coming towards him. Dead on. He is like, because Magadan, or what's her, Galini, her running path is trying to run at him towards the goal. So he's got a very different angle on this than I think we do. Let me just check another couple comments and then we'll go see what is there. If the attacker isn't dribbling the ball, but has her stick off it, is she actually playing the ball? And if not, does her body stick become the way to constitute obstruction? It's a good question. Is there a notice on her to have her stick on the ball? Is she obligated to do that? Why? Is the question I ask back. Why would that be the requirement in this case? It's really complicated, isn't it? It's like, I'm not giving you a lot of answers. I'm asking a lot of questions. Am I saying the stick or the body is shielding? I think neither. Because, oh, let's see the result.
The ball and turn
Mikhail,
out. Yes.
there's no clear reason to change your decision. Stay with the penalty corner. And
Maddie
Germany
is
lose the
indignant.
referral.
Sarah Wilson sees it
So
differently.
she's just gone off for
They
2 minutes saying how clear
on the
the
target
shield
a bit
is.
earlier, maybe.
Okay,
Now the pressure's on.
let's see what you thought
Galini.
on the poll. Ooh, 79% of you thought it was a shield and wanted to go with a free hit defense. Free hit attack for 15% of you. But most of you, okay. So I want to know, let's see. If you think it's a free hit attack, more of you thought it was a free hit attack than actually thought it was a penalty corner. Why do you not see that as a breakdown of play? If the foul's coming from behind, do you really think that that is not reckless as to the result of creating a foul and stopping that ball carrier's progress. It's a one-on-one. The ball's just been turned over. It's a one-on-one going towards that goal. Let's look at this again. Okay. Oops. Let me turn that off. Okay. Ball's just been turned over. Okay, it's not one-on-one, but it's just outside the circle. It's all those things. There are only two possibilities in my mind. This is either a penalty corner or it's a free hit defense for the Shield. It cannot just be a free hit for the attack. Nobody wants to play on. Okay. For me, as I've mentioned in repeatedly in the last several weeks, and if you're like, Keely, I don't watch you every week, you should. You should. And you should also do this thing, but you definitely should be watching every week because I don't want to repeat myself, but I do. And one of the things I say is in difficult situations like this, when our perspective, you kind of have to have the experience to and be able to understand how our perspective as viewers of a stream with one, maybe two, maybe three, if we're lucky, camera angles at barely 30 frames per second, how our vision of a situation can be very different from what the pitch umpire has. And we need to understand that if a pitch umpire has made a particular decision and they have good eyes on it, maybe there's a reason why they went that way with their call. And part of our process needs to be, let's figure out why that decision was made that way. Instead of simply saying, oh, well, it must be wrong. We're too quick to jump to the contrarian view in many cases, rather than seeing what is the evidence that an umpire would see from where they are to support the decision that they've made. Okay, the German defender was trying to tackle the attacker. Yes, they were. But were they trying that tackle? Was it a high risk in that attempt that they were going to break down play? That is the definition of an intentional tackle, an intentional breakdown of play. Because we don't read minds, we look at the probabilities of whether something's going to be successful or not. Do you see the difference, Hang? It's a very important step to get to in your own umpiring and your own processing of these plays. Because we can't ask them, well, did you mean to commit that foul? They meant all the actions that led to the fact that they didn't carry that out successfully. She was in full control of her body. She made the choice to reach the way she did, all those sort of things. Therefore, that's reckless as the result that when you try to do all those things and you're slightly behind the attacker, you're much more likely to not be able to commit that tackle cleanly. That's what we mean. Okay, I hope that helps. Stick on ball, playing the ball. You can argue that if your stick isn't on the ball, whether by inch or yard, you're not actually in possession, you're shielding. Because shielding is preventing another player from playing the ball. You don't have to be in possession. There's no rule that says you have to be in possession of the ball. So what we're looking at is it legitimate for that player to play the ball there? That's it. You've heard obstruction being described as an active process. Could you treat obstruction, could you treat obstruction similarly that holding your stick next to the ball is okay, pushing the stick away is not? You could. I already kind of, I have concerns, I have thoughts, but that is something to sort of think about. Because again, there isn't an onus on a player who is the ball carrier, who doesn't have to be touching the ball on them every moment as they are the ball carrier. There isn't an onus on them to have to try to dribble in certain ways. They don't have to have the ball continuously in motion, or they don't have to have the ball on their stick. But what they can't do is actively prevent a player, an opposing player, from accessing the ball. Ooh, good point, Tugsy. Good point. Let's go. So shielding would have to be have an active part to it. Sorry, I just covered up your comment. To be a foul. Is that correct? Yep. Yeah. So I think there's merit to that, and I'd like to play with that idea more and see. Again, the important thing is, can we come up with a common language to describe what we see and what ideas we have as to what is hockey, what is fair, and what keeps players safe. So the reason that we don't let players shield the ball and prevent access to it is because if I'm trying to make a tackle and I can't reach the ball because somebody's leg's in the way, what am I going to do? I'm going to hit that leg out of my way. And now you have ice hockey, right? So that's the underlying safety principle behind our obstruction rules. We don't let players prevent players from playing the ball with their sticks because we don't want people swinging each other's sticks, because then we have hurley, or we have lacrosse, or we have other things, right? So as long as we go back to these core principles and then we apply them to the way that we understand the way that skills are developed, and then we describe them in reference to those things and come up with a common set of factors that we agree that we're going to look at when we interpret. What facts do we gather when we interpret a certain rule? We're going to get to the same result. We should all get to the same result. If we're not as experienced at gathering facts, well, we got to practice gathering facts. We got to get our eyes on more games. If we don't understand the spirit of the rule, it's because we got to get our eyes on more games. We have to understand hockey better. If we don't understand the interpretations, then you got to come to me. All right. Where are we at? Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's go. 5 meter infringements. You're going to have to vote quickly, folks. Vote quickly. Next
He's
poll is
bounced
up.
back in his career.
Let's have a look at this
Spell without
5
the
meter
goals.
infringement play.
That adds a lot more than just goals for Iglesias.
Thank you. Five. Not 5 metres.
Penalty corner given.
I thought
Five's
he
not
was
the dotted
sat
line,
on the
though. You
dotted
do-
line
do
for me,
realise that?
Magnus.
Five's the dotted line from the circle, not from the other way. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, and
That's a good.
Martin, go ahead.
Hi there. Can you look for 5 metres? The corner's been given because the players tackled within the 5 metres.
I'll check. It's not an even split. As you can see, the difference between the 23 to the 5 metre line is not 5 metres, which was the question they're asking.
But it's not 5 metres from there to there, remember.
Martin does such a nice job of explaining this. Okay. So this is the point of the foul, or of the taking of the free hit. Really done. Use proper words, please. Okay. So let's see if I can pull this up. So here we go. Very clear. On the 23. This distance here, this is 23. And then the top of the circle is the rounded up. I can say the 14.63 if you're happier, but that's 15. Or sorry. Hey, so this is the 23. And this dotted line is 20 meters from the end line. 20, 23, 15. Now, the only thing I want to point out before I go to the results is that there is an angle here. And as you get further away, so when you get to this point, this actually could be 5 meters. But if you're looking at the top of the dotted circle line, which is flattened out at some point, go look at the rule book. I'm not fibbing. This is actually a fact. It's flattened out a little bit as it traverses across, and then it goes off on a curve again. So you could argue that because of the angle, this actually is more like a 4-meter distance than a 3-meter distance, but it's not 5. So when I was watching this live, I focused on the angle that Venya was at and thought, well, that could be 5 meters, but it wasn't. And the call came from Allie, who was in a position where she could see the distance much more effectively than Martin, because Martin would have been back there somewhere, probably directly in line with where these players were. So he's got flat, he can't see. Okay. But let's see what happens on the referral.
Charlotte Carlton just, yes, backing his on-field umpire up. But that's a lot more than just goals for Iglesias.
And you have to listen carefully because Martin's still having a little fun when Miguel breaks in.
He was sat on
Gives
the
his
dotted
verdict.
line for me, Magnus.
Five's the dotted line from the
And
circle,
that's
not
why
from
they
the
can't
other
have
way.
discussions.
Anyway, okay.
Yeah, and that
That's a fair
as well,
Hi
right?
there. Can you look for 5 metres? The corner,
Okay, this is taking too long to get to the result.
but it's not 5 metres from there to there. Remember.
Okay, listen.
it's that moment where there's a play going, oh yeah.
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 Fair point.
Thank you.
Okay, so no clear reason.
Charlotte
Okay,
Carlton just,
let's see where you're all at with this. Let's see how many of you voted. I hope many, many people. 13 people voted. Good job, everybody. Way to get in there fast. Oh, look at that. 54% of you said free hit attack. Play on free hit defense. Nobody wrote in the penalty corner. Penalty corner, you know, that was the call, because otherwise, if it was just a free hit, it can't be referred, correct? But yeah, that's a mistake in the poll. That needed to have a penalty corner option. That's my bad. But at least you guys, you know, you understood. You understood what was happening there. Okay.
Lawrence with the attempted aerial didn't come off. Janssen looking to switch it. Come off Geniers, surely.
Thank you.
Eventually, the decision came. Janssen again.
You're starting on
Penalty
the dot.
corner,
The dot is
not
in
being
5.
5.
No, she is 5. No, wait. They don't. She doesn't stop the ball. She doesn't stop the ball. Fine. Okay. Yeah. And so
They're saying the ball not stopped here, and
Really?
so the free hit was given.
Yes, Ali?
I've given a penalty corner for not being
they're
5.
saying that
Belgium
the
are saying
ball
the Dutch will never
is
stop the
not
ball. And she is 5. So if you could just look at the situation.
Not the ball is controlled and stopped when the free hit was given. We're not going to see it there.
Well, we'll see. Ah, come on now. Well, no, we're going to have to wait. You can
They're
tell me
saying the
something when
defender
it's finished.
was
But now we're off. We have to.
5. That's fine. It's whether or not the ball is stopped on the free hit. We'll see that here.
Went on a bit after Geniers.
So the free hit given
Penalised.
by Otten. And about you,
No,
Chris?
no, she's got
Stop
it.
for me.
We're
Nope.
not interfering, okay?
Looks like. So she puts a stick on the ball.
Ali?
Jan-
So you can hear Ali actually backing up the conversation, that the question that we had earlier about why does the player get sent away during, because she's saying we're not interfering. We're letting the video umpire do their job. Okay, and I'd love to hear what you think on this one.
So
I'll try to roll through it a little bit more quickly. Time is a rolling. Okay. One of the complicating factors in this play is that the initial foot was unsighted, or the umpire was unsighted at the time the initial foot happened. So the ball rolls and things move and things get confusing and players have their arm in the air. And this is why, you know, just basic, the quick assistance is really important in order to get the best decision. Okay, so I'm just trying to scroll my replay to where it's going to be very helpful. Everybody's very quiet on this one. Or I haven't scrolled the comments. What I had a whistle not blown when the attacker would turn into the goal. Oh, you're talking about the last one. Okay, possession irrelevant. Then the attacker is simply in the way and isn't playing the ball but blocking the defender from legitimately do so with their position. Okay. See you, Ian. The person in possession of the ball. I missed all of these. Could be shielding the ball, but the defender's not trying to play the ball, then it would not be a foul. Very good point, Sebastian. Thank you for that. Another policeman is an umpire. Is that McHugh? I'm not sure who you mean. Yeah, and there's no PC option. That's my bad. 3 meters plus sideways. Yep. Yeah. Player can't go looking for a 5 meter. This is Magic Monkey. What do we say about I heard something somewhere? You know what we do is we send you back to the rule book and we say, go find the rule for me. Okay. We absolutely go and ask that question first. A player can't go looking for a 5 meter call. There is no manufactured foul. There's no foul that says you can't manufacture a foul in the rule book anymore. Was that English? I don't know. That was removed. What you're going to do is you're going to consider whether the ball carrier is actually disadvantaged by the actions of the defender who is infringing the 5 meters. And if they go running around and away from what is clearly a much more appealing direction in order to try to manufacture trying to gain a penalty, you're going to ignore that ish. Right? Because there's no actual disadvantage. Advantage still exists. 12.1 golden rule stretches over everything. Has to be PC, and it was intentional. Yeah, the player, gold medalists don't know the pitch. She seems to be 5 meters from the hit was taken. The Dutch attacker clearly brought the ball under control at the place of the free hit. Okay, so that was the first ground. The first thing that Irene had to look at was whether the ball was stopped. And for a ball to be stopped, we're not talking about dead. We're not talking about not rotating on a spot or anything like that. What we're looking for is there a clear indication where the free hit started, where the self pass started? Okay, that's really important. For Steven, you thought it looked 5 to you. You know what you're looking at. That's okay. That's me most of the time anyway, too. Paula, she also moves a couple steps back after the ball was played. Yes. Alan, the ball was stopped. The player's very close to 5 meters away. It's a very tight call, and that's a very good point to make. Alan, it's tight. So, let's see. Am I getting the right one? Here. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. Again, the player is 50 centimeters inside the 23. Okay, so she's at 22.5, maybe. Oh, I'm going to get myself into trouble if I start using numbers again. And then we have an angle between these two things. Oh, and this is not a good spot of the replay, but that's okay. It's going to scroll backwards. And hopefully what I did, this is supposed to pause right here. There we go. And zoom in. Okay, so for here, we have a clear, this is where the free hit starts from. So although the Belgian team asked for the stop to be examined, I think we're good. Okay. There's even a motion over top of the ball, and then that is the spot where it starts. Is right here. And you have an angle and whether you look at feet in the moment or that sort of thing, as this play continues, now you've got, she is not on the dotted line. And although she had 1 foot starting there, she does back up immediately. And was her positioning in that moment infringing on 5 such that you'd say, well, she has to just step right out of the way and get even more than 5 meters. She's got to get 5 meters away from this. I actually don't like that because I think she was more like here and then to here. So this is one of those cases, again, it's not necessarily about what the correct call is. We'll go to the results here so that you
Looks
can
like
have a
so she
listen
puts
to
a stick on the ball.
Ali,
what the
there's
referral
no
meant.
clear reason to change your decision. You can restart with a penalty corner and Ben shall lose the refer.
Yeah.
So in the video umpire booth, she's in the position that she's not going to necessarily, she's going to look for a clear reason why that was 5 meters. But what I want you to acknowledge in this case is look for an angle, look for where the tackle occurs, look for whether there is disadvantage along this pathway. And that's going to be important as we look at the next clip. Let's see what y'all think. And yeah, 88% of you are looking play on. That's kind of how I saw it too. And from an empirical point of view in that standard, looking at the fact, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And 13% of you, thank you for adding that, Sebastian. Thank you for this is why you get to add your own poll results.
Penalties actually in the shootouts.
Let's look at this one. This is our last 5 meter infringement
To
scenario.
bring the kids home.
And then we're almost done.
To Maran.
Happens very quick. A shield is called. Go fast. I'm going to give this like a minute. But think about what we require defenders to do if they are caught within the 5 meters of the free hit when it's initially given. And whether they are permitted to run alongside, cutting off space and making it more difficult for an attacker to go in the direction that they want, for example, to get away from the sideline and access space. And does that motion disadvantage? Let's see. If the player had taken the hit from exactly where the offense occurred, slightly closer to the goal, defender would not have been 5, but she doesn't. Therefore, you think it's just barely 5. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say. Andrew, if there had originally been a play on and attack referred, it may not have been a PC on referral. Yes, and that's why I don't really want to dwell on the result. I want to dwell on the process we get to. We acknowledge the angles. We look at the disadvantage of a player who has been caught within the 5 meters and what do they do in that moment, which is what we're looking at right now. You see, there's a whole plan. I don't just throw clips at you willy-nilly. There's a plan to my whole thing here. Oh my goodness, Henry Beardsall. What are you? Oh, sir, I've missed you. Where have you been? It's one of those situations where the PC isn't overturned. Yeah, but if it played on asking, they wouldn't have got one. Yeah, that's good. Stain Verschoor, if I'm saying that correctly. I'm not. Stays in the attacker's channel. Okay. Let's see what y'all think very quickly. Hopefully you've all voted. Quick, fast. Quick decisions, everybody. Quick decisions. It's like you're on the pitch. Oh, this is taking its sweet time. I bet you I'm going to have to refresh. Don't worry. Oh, it worked. Okay. Ooh, look at that. That's a big percentage of you. So, of the votes, more than 80% of you saw a foul in that. And that I think is very well done. And for the 37% of you who agree with the card, and by say agree with the card, I mean you agree with me in my mind saying, oh my God, that's a card. Good work. I think that's what we're looking at there. Okay. Be on the lookout. Beware. As soon as you've made a decision against a ball carrier, what do? They may well have been caught out of position. Their team has been flooding forward, especially if you're the Dutch team. As soon as you got the ball, there are just sprints, dead sprints happening. Your teammates are trying to get up the pitch because they score goals. That's how they win games. So if you've turned over the ball unexpectedly, then your whole defensive structure might be well out of whack. And the players are going to be mindful of this, and they're going to look for the most subtle ways that they possibly can to make sure that that doesn't turn into a liability, that they can get everybody back in their defensive structure. And that's what I see there. Let's see. You think the defender's position does disadvantage the attacker in being able to use the space, the defender's shielding, and slowing the play down to help the other. Yeah. Yeah, don't use the word shielding there, because now you're bringing in the shielding. Shielding is a player in possession who is obstructing by preventing an attempted tackle. Okay, so let's not use shield there. Language. It sure does. Seems like a good green card opportunity. I agree. Depending on the impact, and again, in this game, particularly if you'd been watching the full game with me, you'd understand where some of that sort of conversation comes from. Okay, well done, everybody. Last one. This is going to be a nice and quick one, but it's fun to look at. Aerial danger on takeoff. This play was
And a long corner. Superb play from Middendorp.
Yeah, good touch from Middendorp. Just took it through the defender on the approach to the circle.
Will this fall to? Oh, it's going to fall for Brinkman, who was not going to miss from there. Everybody seemed to stop, but not the Netherlands. And they now have 3.
Yeah, you could hear Sarah Wilson clearly
even Sarah
saying
could
there's
read
no
the
danger
play.
play on. However, Belgium stopped. Not sure whether they're going to refer this, but you see that aerial top of the circle. Yeah, everybody stops. The whole of the Belgian defence. So is this dangerous or not?
So we're Tugsy, you taking the mic. So there was the mention of danger. You can hear Andy Halliday whipping that up, because again, that's kind of the core of what the aerial takeoff rule is looking at. Is it dangerous to an opposing player when they have started 5 meters away? If it is dangerous, then you are going to call the free hit again. So get your votes in quickly. And in case you can't see it properly, it's a valiant attempt, I believe, in an interception of that aerial pass by the defender, Van Doren. And he gets a touch on the ball legally above his head, doesn't contact his body, and does not cause danger as that ball is deflected through this space in the circle directly at Sarah. And then she's got the Dutch attacker there who coming right into her grill. She knows he's on his way, and she's just trying to save her own life. Okay, so there goes the deflection, and it miraculously just dumps into a wide open space. And you have the ultimate poachers Brinkman goal. I agree. You. And level of play. Okay, let's see what y'all have to say. I told you we were going to be fast. We were going to be fast. 14 votes. Good work, everybody. 63% of you are saying play on and goal. Okay, James. Okay, obviously, play on led to the goal. So now I have to add 64% to 29%. And now I'm mathing, and nobody needs that. I think, what is that? Is that 80? Is that 83, 84%? 94? 94%. 93%. Because I'm going to subtract the free hit defense percentage. Look at this brain. Good job, brain. 7% left for the free hit defense. Okay. So what we're going to look at in this situation is we're going to look at legitimate evasive action, right? Is one of our big criterion. And does Van Duren legitimately evade this ball? Or does he attempt to use his skill as best he can to play this ball and fail? You can just keep it on that because speed, trajectory, all that kind of thing, it's not even going really at him. So we're really just going to focus on the LEA. (100 minus 7 works too. Don't you? I don't need this kind of sass from you, Mr. Archibald. It will come as 0 surprise. Okay, yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Tugsy. Change your server nickname. Andrew, legitimate unevasive action. Unvasive. Legitimate unvasive action. That's hilarious. Not dangerous to the initial defender who has to jump. Yeah, he's jumping to get a stick near the ball. And jump, yeah. There we go. Thank you, all of you who are correcting my maths. I appreciate that. But what a delightful little play there. That was super fun. Okay. David, quick question. Sorry. Not because your question is funny, but the fact that you categorized it as quick. It is not a quick question. It is not a quick answer. Because, David, you may remember, because you pay so close attention in these streams, that players cannot intentionally raise a ball with a hit unless it's a shot at goal. So the question is, if the ball is already raised, can you hit it out of the air if it's not a shot at goal? The rule book clearly has no effing clue what to do with this situation. Okay, this is absolute facts. Rule book does not know. Because back in the day when it was written like this, ain't nobody hitting the ball out of the air. Nobody had the skill to one time it like that. And now everybody can. And he legitimately attacked the ball. Okay, so the question as to whether that actually works, whether that is legal, has been something I have discussed on several streams. I can certainly provide you with links in the description so you can go have a look at it. Unfortunately, it is not a quick answer. I trend generally to let the players do stuff that isn't dangerous and shows off skill. And that is definitely the trend that we see, that just because it's technically already in the air and that raises the ball, we shouldn't get in the way unless it's dangerous. And then everybody says, but just because they did it safely here doesn't mean they're going to do it safely at XYZ. Yeah, of course. But we don't stop players from attempting to develop their skills if they have a reasonable expectation to be able to execute that skill, that they've been trying it, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's complicated. It's not a standard legal answer. It's the truth. It's the truth. Yeah. I'm just going to take that one off the broadcast. Okay. A lot of people watch these streams. Okay. Great show. A lot of fun. Oh, here comes Andrew with another question. Hang on. If the trajectory of the ball goes over the circle before landing outside it, it needs to not be playable to height for 5 meters. That's only if that's a free hit. Yes. Okay. Within the 23. It needs to not be playable. It needs to not be legitimately playable. If none of that, does the height matter? It only matters in terms of danger on the way up. Okay. But yeah, I actually got to look at some aerial free hit straight into the D questions on the last show, which I will link in a card in a description. And you can have a look at those if you're watching this on replay. Or if you're like, I remember when Keely talked about this last week, I'm just going to go brush up on my skills. Then get over there and do it. They're removing the hazard of the air ball by hitting onto the pitch. Well, it depends on what happens with the ball. Sometimes hitting the ball out of midair above everybody's heads is the safest way to deal with a ball that's in the air. Sometimes it's not. It's very complicated. Very complicated. Okay. Just to wrap things up, since y'all are here and you don't seem to be going anywhere because you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to get What Up Wednesday for 3 weeks. How am I going to survive? Let me give you a little bonus content. I've been having a fantastic conversation with a person who will remain unnamed because it's a Twitter DM and I respect those things. But let's just say that this person has direct firsthand experience with the environment of which I'm about to speak. And after speaking about, issues about swings and misses and things like that, there were 2 things that came out of our conversation I wanted to share. And one of them was, if you didn't have an opportunity to listen to the last few days and some of the other times that Andy Halliday has been doing color comms on the Pro League, you have missed out, because I am utterly convinced that Andy is the most rules aware, smartest, and probably best looking color comms for hockey. And when I woke up this morning at 6:15, I live a really weird life. I realized why. I mean, of course, he's smart, hardworking, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. As an ex-England GB team manager who's probably been to, let's just call it 50 tournaments in his career, he has sat through that many umpire manager briefings, which are the presentations that the UMs give to the teams, who are always represented by the team managers. Maybe occasionally a coach comes in, maybe, usually not. Sat through those briefings and learned kind of like this. Not like this, because there's only one of me. But they learned about what the umpires are thinking, how they talk about things, what direction interpretations are going, all those kinds of things. I'm informed that Andy also really enjoyed these briefings and meetings to the point that he just wanted them to continue, was frustrated that he couldn't even ask all the questions that he wanted to because he had more. And that is now reflected in the way that he does color commentary. And there are times where I'm speaking in the watch parties and we are saying the same words. I just beat him to it because I talk over Dan Strange. That's the way it goes. Fantastic. So that was really cool. And just the recognition that that's the kind of work that some people put into understanding rules and interpretations. And that's what it yields, is that level of expertise. So good on you, Andy. It's been a pleasure listening to you this season. I look forward to more. And the other piece of information that I gleaned out of this conversation was just how exceptional of a performance Sarah Wilson has been putting in, and how much this particular person appreciated and believed that Sarah is the #1 umpire in the world, bar none, end of story. And if you didn't get a chance, if you're in yellow and you didn't get a chance to watch the Belgium-Netherlands final, Pro League final last night, which it was, You must watch it. You must, because there are so many things to learn. In fact, I've been inspired. I might do a video to try to break that down because it's a story. The whole game was a fascinating story, and it was amazingly skilled and incredibly intense. There was drama, there was everything, and Sarah and Martin did a fantastic job at bringing what could have gone very often pear-shaped, bringing that game back into where it needed to be, was just on that absolute everything out level of intensity, incredible skill, incredible pace, all that kind of thing. And to me, yeah, one of the best umpiring performances I've seen, because it was not because it was perfect, but because it was so dramatic and worked out for a variety of reasons that you have to see. So anyway, it was really cool to hear from somebody who has firsthand knowledge on the pitch about how they can see the same things that we are looking at. That means a lot. That means that we're on the right track. We're talking about the right things, and this will help us move in the right direction. So thank you very much, Stefan. I am really looking forward to this break. Kakiriano to you too. And Yurin, good timing. You are, it's over. It's over. Like, we're ending. No. David, no, the hashtag is Keely is always right. Keely was right. I own the URL. Keely was right. It's been a pleasure. I am looking forward to this break because I will be able to come back refreshed, full of ideas and full of energy and vigor, and full more of ways that I can keep bringing you the umpiring education that you deserve and you look for from me. So I appreciate you being on this journey. I appreciate you all letting me go for the 2 weeks. I will still be around on DMs, but you know, maybe just keep it chill for a little bit. There you go. And then yes, Jamie and I will be doing Brampton. I don't know if you saw, I put a picture of us at the beginning. Go back to the beginning of the show. And we will come back in August and things will be bigger and better than ever. It's going to be awesome. Thank you, Tugsy. It's been a pleasure having you around, and enjoy your breaks, or enjoy your hockey if that's what you're doing because you're in the Southern Hemisphere or you like summer hockey. Who knows? Yaku, I'm really glad that you were here, and thank you very much. I will very much enjoy. Have a good one, everybody.